Welcome back to Bmnr stock. Today is looking really good for this one in my opinion. We're seeing this stock up by 2.22% in the trading day, and again after what we've seen over the last few days, I think this really is a very positive signal for a number of reasons which we'll get into over the course of this video. I'm going to make it short and sweet, guys. If you enjoy these sorts of updates, make sure to leave a like in it and subscribe, and as always remember, this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. Now I've said all of those things, we can jump straight in. And again, first thing that stands out to me today simply is the fact that we are green. Sounds very basic, but you've got to actually factor in everything that we've seen over the past few days with this stock. Past 5 days is ultimately green. Past month, however, we are now red. You know, from those highs to where we are now, a relentless drop of over 30%. We're just seeing this one moving lower and lower. Now, where things become very significant, or have become significant, is over the last few days at the range where we saw recent lows, probably around 39.90, something like that. And the reason why this is particularly significant, if you look at the chart, that is a very strong previous level of support many a time in the past. Again, we've seen it hold up here, we've seen it hold up numerous points back here too. So the fact that we've been able to hold on to this yet again, in my humble opinion, is a very, very strong sign of strength. And again, we've seen that hold up here too. So, whilst it is still very early days, and or perhaps one of the most notable things actually for today, despite the day being green, the majority of this came in the very early morning and open of the market. The majority of the rest of the day was ultimately red. However, if we have a look at the charts, fundamentally, we are finishing now closer, or I should say higher, than where we started, which in itself is a good thing. So what are the next questions? Well, the next questions for me, in my head, are, is this a start of a bullish trend? And I think there is every possibility of this. However, I would still be very cautious. Now, we are breaking into levels around 48, but not just really able to remain up there for very long. You know, 47, 48, brief break into that range, but not able to stay there. As I've said many a time before, I think a range break into 50 would potentially signify a actual trend change. Many people could be looking at this one now and questioning, is it possible? I think the answer is yes. Again, this is a stock which, yes, I'm going to say, is up multiple hundreds of percentage points since July. You can see this very clearly, 800% up, almost 900%. However, a few things are now forming themselves out nicely, right? And I'm going to come over here to really put this into perspective. We've seen a massive run, we know this. Stock's fallen a lot. I would say this is perhaps taking profits, or just perhaps the side effects of an unsustainable rally. Then we are starting to find bottoms in the 34, 40 range. And again, now it's looking closer to 40, 45 as a potential bottom. Now, everything considered, I think this is a massive sign of strength for this stock. Like I say, just a couple of weeks ago, really, in the grand scheme, this was a stock that was valued significantly less, literally at basically pennies, right? $4 way back here. So, you're going to have to perhaps consider this when factoring anything else in. I think the fact that we are finding bottoms here is very strong. And if it was my opinion, I think if we were to go further down, I'm looking for that potential to see the $39 range again. If we are able to see that hold up, then we're able to potentially bounce, if we even are able to drop to that or have to drop to that. If not, though, I think there's every possibility of dropping to the mid to low 30s as we have seen in the past. So that's just my opinions on what may happen to the downside. To the upside is very simple, like I say, a break above 50 into 51 and ultimately some support now coming in at these higher levels. That's what I want to see over the next few days. You may agree, you may disagree. Again, I'm not here to necessarily tell you which way I think things are going. I'm simply here to highlight the levels that I am paying attention to, which are hopefully going to allow you guys to do better research. Thank you for your time, guys. Goodbye for now. See you soon.